What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We're on the journey again. It's on the lift, as you can see, and we're going to be doing a transmission filter kit and fluid on this. I believe this right here is the pan we're going to have to take off, and the filter should live up inside of here. And we're going to take these bolts out, let the fluid drain, and then once we do that, we can put the filter in, fill her up, and it's supposed to be dipstick on here somewhere. I don't know where, but I'll have to find it. I think I feel the tube now. Yeah, so we'll fill it up from the top and we'll go from there. But I believe it calls for 7 quarts to do this. So let me gather my tools, get my drain pan, and we'll get to going on this. Went ahead and took all the bolts out except for one, and I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit. There should be, I think, 12 or 13 bolts on this. Alright, we got a little loose now. I'm going to grab something to push in between there to pry the pan off a little bit so that we can get it to hang and drain all the fluid out. I'm going to try to go real slow with this, just so we don't spill it everywhere. Got a little bit in. Oh yeah. So we're gonna let this drain, and then I'm gonna pull it off and let it drain for a few minutes, and we'll see what it looks like underneath there. Here is the filter. It's gonna have 2 T25 torch bits, one over here and one over here. And this one right here, it comes in at an angle, so you should be able to get it pretty easy. Like I said, they are T25s, and once you pull those out, you can see it's a little loose, and then you should just be able to wiggle it a little bit, and it should come right out. But this one's tight. There it goes. Come on. There's your filter right there. Now there's an O-ring up in there, or seal, whatever you want to call it, and it does come with the kit. Here is the kit we got. You see is the same one. This just uses silicone on the gasket. Here's your seal right there. We will check this other seal to see how good the rubber is, but I'm probably going to change it either way. So let me check that, and then whenever I get ready to pull it out, I'll show y'all how I pull it out. So there's your seal. All I do is use this hammer, rubber mallet, and a screwdriver, and I'm just collapsing the sides in, and then you should be able to get a screwdriver in there and pop it out. And when you tap it in there, just use a socket about the size of the seal, and when you tap it in there, just tap it flush. Here is the old seal right there. Went ahead and put the new filter and seal in already. Get y'all where y'all can see this. These bolts right here, the little torque bits, they torque to 40 inch-pounds, and then the actual pan bolts torque to 102 foot-pounds. So like I said, I don't have an inch-pound torque wrench, so just go on those, you know, hand tight. You ain't got to crank down on them real crazy. I'm gonna get a razor blade, and we're gonna clean all this stuff right here up. This looks like it had a paper gasket on there, but service data says to use silicone going back on there with it. So let me clean this off, and then we'll clean the actual pan off, clean it out with some brake cleaner and all that stuff. Then whenever I'm applying the sealant, I'll show y'all about how much I put on there, and show me pretty much tightening the last couple bolts, just because I don't want it to be repetitive for y'all. All right, here is the pan right here. As you can see, I'm just spreading it out real thin. This is only like maybe 1/8 of an inch bead all the way around that I just kind of flattened out. So it may look like a lot, but it's really not. It's real thin actually. So we got that on there now. I got the filter in there. Now I'm gonna go put this on here. And like I said before, this torch to 110 inch-pounds. So I'm gonna put this on here and I'm just gonna tighten it up and get it all torqued down. And then once I get ready to fill it up, I'll bring y'all back. So I got it back on the ground now. Got the pan on, and the dipstick lives right there. Well, not even really a dipstick. It's just a fill tube. And inside of that, this is the cap. There's no dipstick on it. So there's a special tool that you have to use to check the fluid. The part number is 9336A. I'll put a link up to that. I do not have that tool. I have it coming right now, and they won't get it to me probably until tomorrow, which kind of sucks because I didn't think that I would need anything for this. I forgot to look at service data. That's my fault. So, and the tool's cheap. It was only like $35 whenever I ordered it. So, but I'm going to go ahead. It does say go ahead and put 4 quarts in it, crank it up, cycle it through the gears, then check it with this tool. It's basically a dipstick is all it is. And it's got little hash marks about every 10 millimeters on there. And it just reads how much is in there. And then the service data lets you know when it's full. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put 4 quarts in it, crank it up, cycle it through there, get it all going, and then whenever I get the tool, I can just check the fluid and be done with it. So let me go ahead and put some fluid in this, crank it up, and get that going. Okay, I got it running, and the tool didn't come in, but I'm going to use a regular dipstick right here. And you're going to have a scan tool as well, because you need to monitor temperature of the transmission, because it's got to be up to temperature. And so you need it to be at least 200 degrees. I'm going to put this chart up for everybody because it tells you how to measure the fluid and everything up, but I'll put a picture of it up. And at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, what you do is you get a dipstick, you stick it in there till you can't go any further, and then when you pull it out, you have to measure the level, like how deep the fluid comes up the actual dipstick right here. And at different temperatures, it's got to be different levels. So you want it at least 200 degrees, and that's at the maximum. And if you're doing it in inches, at 200 degrees, the max you want is about 2 1/8 of an inch. Minimum you want is about 1 1/2. So I figure somewhere around the 1 3/4 and 2 inch mark. But if you're going off of millimeters, it's going to be 54 millimeters or 40 millimeters. That's the min and the max. Like I said, I'll put this up for everybody. So I measured mine, and it was right at a little over 1 3/4 of an inch whenever I did it. There's like a little hook down inside the transmission. Whenever you pull the pan off, you'll see it. There's like a little, like, almost looks like a, it's kind of like a little shelf, I guess you can call it, bolted up on there, and that's what the dipstick is going to ride on. That's the max point that you're going to stick it in. And whenever you do that, you pull it straight out, measure the level on your dipstick, and you can see how I had the fluid in there. I don't know how well y'all can see that, but you just measure the level on the dipstick, and then once you do that, you just go off this chart and it'll tell you where it should be. I ended up having to put a little over 5 1/2 quarts. I put about 5 3/4 of a quart in there to get it to about a little over 1 3/4. I say is right around about the 15/16, 7/8 mark whenever I checked it. So we are good on that. With the fluid level is good. This is a more problematic way of doing things. I mean, you get a more accurate description, I guess you could say, a more accurate reading whenever you do this, but it makes things extremely difficult. I wish they would have just made the cap with the dipstick on it. That would have eliminated a lot of this. But now we have it done. I think this is recommended doing the filter and the fluid change about every 60,000 miles on this car right here. This one has 100,000, and we don't know when it's been done or if it's been done, so he wanted to go ahead and do it along with the tune-up and all the other stuff at once, just to get it over with. So if anybody else knows of a way to check this other than this, like a Mopar technician or something, please let everybody know in the description or comments, because that would help out a lot of people. But this just seems to be the only way that I found through service data, and it does say 5.5 quarts, but I did use a little bit more than 5.5. But I guess this is probably going to end the video right here. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, found something that I didn't do right or any of that stuff, please let me know. I'll try to correct it in the comment section, let everybody know the correct way of doing it if I did something wrong. If y'all enjoyed the video, hit all the buttons, the like, subscribe, notification bell if you hadn't done so yet. It does help out the channel. And then lastly, remember, torque is tight, and y'all have a great day.